I'm Aaron Baker from PhoneDog.com, and it's part 2 of the full video review of the HTC One Max. It's an awesome device with a 5.9-inch display and a fingerprint scanner, but can it compete with the Lumia 1520, the Galaxy Note 3, the Xperia Z Ultra, and this increasing category that we call phablets? We'll find out in part 2. We pick up part 2 of the HTC One Max full video review talking about the camera and how it works not only in, for example, basic shots, but HTC Zoe capabilities as well and how the software has changed since 5.5. It's part 2 of the HTC One Max video review. Let's kick it off right now. But before we get too far into that, thanks to our partners at HTC, they hooked us up with a review unit that we're using for testing. And thanks to our partners at Best Buy Mobile as well, the boys in blue, I like to call them, because they hook us up with phones that we give you for free on the site at instantwin.phonedog.com. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, they'll make sure you're set up and ready to go, whether it's Sprint or Verizon. They're unbiased, they're not paid on commission, so they'll help you find the one that works best for you in your respective area. HTC One Max is here. We'll talk really quickly about the hardware actually before we jump into the camera stuff, because if you missed part 1, go back and take a look. But the hardware here is beautiful, very much like the HTC One. Nice metal on the back and on the front, boom sound speakers. It's just quite literally a supersized HTC One with a nice big 3,400 milliamp hour battery here, so trucking along with a nice big battery, 3,300 milliamp hours, excuse me, battery over here, and you've got a nice big 5.9-inch 1080p HD display as well. So big display, big battery, big opportunities here on the HTC One Max. So we'll jump into the camera and take a look. 4 ultra pixel camera, the same camera that we saw in the HTC One, 1080p HD video recording capabilities. And I'm going to shoot a couple of shots here. You can see they made some subtle changes to the interface. For example, the Zoe icon, it's enabled, and you can see Zoe right below it. So now it's telling me that I have Zoe enabled. I've got, of course, the option over here to change around the image as I see fit. I can come over here, for example, and we'll snap a shot, or snap a Zoe. And we'll go in here and click on that, the still pictures, for example. I can change the way they look around, so for example, I can move the effects, I can change those around, have some fun with that. So I can do a combination of pictures and Zoes, and where that comes in really beneficially, I'll take a look at this adapter module, for example, and I'm just going to take a couple of Zoes, so bear with me here, and we'll do that, and we'll take a couple of stills, just basic stuff here, nothing really surprising. We're going to go down here and take a picture of the carpet, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like all together. So we'll go to the gallery, for example, from the camera. Overall, really pleased with the camera quality. It's the same as you would expect on the HTC One. Low light performance continues to be a strong point in the HTC One series, and the One Max is no disappointment. But I can come over here to video highlights, for example, and you're going to see this video highlight that I just shot. And you can see it's doing it right now. So I can change around the content, I can change around the themes or the music. I can search from my library. So they definitely made this easier to use. And from there I can share it directly. Come up here and save it. I can deselect content, or I can share via HTC Share. So you can see here I can change it to Satura, for example, or Windmere, and I can move the content around. I can take out and do all of it. I can say locations. I can say, you know what, let's remove this picture, for example, not a good one, so I can come in here and delete. Yes, I'm sure I want to delete it, and then go back to video highlights, and it's gone. So nice option here, combine Zoes, combine still pictures, and this is something you can really maximize the 5.9-inch display on, if you will. I mean, you can do this, and it's really nice to have a nice big display to share with your friends, and of course you can share it when you want to via HTC Share. So cool feature there, something I've always liked about the One line. Great for if you're at a wedding, you have kids, you're snapping a picture of their soccer game, and Zoe's pictures, you combine them all together, make a really cool video and send it to grandma, and there's a nice use case there. Let's take a look at speed test as well. We'll load this up. Now Sprint's on 3G right now. Caveat, take a look at some of the results I see. I live near downtown in Dallas, and you can see a couple of different options here, a couple of different speed tests I've run, 25 megabits per second, 23, so definitely fast depending on where you're at in the city, but keep in mind my office is not the best, as you can see, and it's running on 3G right now. So we'll take a look here. Another thing you'll immediately notice in, of course, Android 4.3 and since 5.5, physical battery number. I've got 32%, I know exactly where it's at. You know my love for that kind of thing. Nice to see it over on the HTC One Max. So that's there. It's loading up right now. You're looking at about 1 megabit per second on the download. My guess is it's going to be about the same on the upload. Again, it's running on 3G right now. LTE in the city of Dallas and the Metroplex, but not quite seeing it in my office for whatever reason. The second I step outside of my office doors, I get LTE, but not sure why it's not showing up right here. But 0.94 megabits per second on the download. Upload, looking at about 0.7 megabits per second. Yeah, 0.68 megabits per second. And just to show you this, you can see, of course, my shortcuts. I can use both my fingers to do that, or I can use one and swipe down and access all my notifications and remove those. So the overall look and feel there, very similar to what you've seen on previous HTC, or I should say HTC One and HTC One Mini. So we'll load up quadrant standard here and take a look. Again, keeping in mind 1.7 gigahertz quad-core Snapdragon 600 CPU. I'll say the same caveat that I say in all of these videos. Take it with a grain of salt. It's not always indicative of day-to-day performance. The Nexus 5, for example, isn't optimized for quadrant standard, but I get a lot of people all the time that ask me to do these tests, so I want to make sure that I do quadrant standard to make you guys happy. But here's the test. We're running it right now. The battery is incredibly impressive in the HTC One Max. It's got a 3,300 milliamp hour battery. I mean, it's a killer by all means. It makes it through the day. Been really pleased with battery life. The standby time is fantastic on this as well. Go back and take a look at my first impressions where I let the device run for like 2 days in a combination of standby and talk time, and it's really impressive all around. Now granted, this one's been switching between 3G and 4G LTE, so again, take it with a grain of salt. Not my performance, my battery life performance is not indicative of what you're going to get. Your use cases may be different, but just to kind of give you a benchmark as to what I've seen in the past couple of days. 12,406 in quadrant standard. So really pleased with this device all around. It's really a turbocharged or supersized HTC One. And last but not least, the fingerprint scanner. So we'll come in here and take a look at this. And one of the biggest complaints I hear, and I can definitely agree with this, the fingerprint scanner is very close to the camera. I find myself doing this all the time. And maybe it's just me, but I find myself hitting the camera all the time. Smudges on the camera might be an issue, but you know, fingerprint scanner is cool. So it's a trade-off. Tap the finger I want to set up. Yeah, let's set that finger. And I'm going to scan it to record. I'll show you what it looks like. And 2 more times, 1 more time. I'm trying to scan, I'm not doing a very good job. And fingerprint recorded successfully. Now, I can set up a backup password, so I'm just going to make it hi, there, hi, there. And we'll hit OK. And I can assign an app to either quick launch, or I can assign it for unlocking purposes. So for example, it'll activate the camera, and I did not hit apply, but you get the idea. Once it does that, I can activate it and rock and roll. And actually, last but not least, here I'll show you the home screen as well. You can see I've got my Huron Baker Gmail shortcut there just by swiping to the side, my weather on the home screen, and I can swipe the finger to unlock. And let's try it again. There we go, unlocked and ready to rock and roll. So there's a lot to like about this. Fingerprint scanner is cool. I love the battery life in this device, and it's a gorgeous display. 5.9 inches, a little bit on the big side in comparison to even the phablet market, but still really a beautiful display all around. The biggest downside, I know I say this in a lot of the videos, it probably sound like a broken record, I think there's a huge opportunity for these phablet makers, these OEMs, to increase availability in the software for awesome content creation stuff. Scribble's very cool, but I'd love to see the ability to multitask a little bit more, or maybe some sort of input device, or just something to maximize the fact that I got a big display. There's a lot to do with this, and so Scribble's cool. Of course, web browsing, YouTube, all the typical stuff you would do on any phone definitely looks better on this device in my opinion, but still I feel like there's a missed opportunity on the software front to really make this device something that's different from the HTC One, for example. It's not just a specs conversation. I'd love to be able to say, hey, this thing not only has a bigger display, but also has these killer software things that makes you, even if you're not even considering a phablet device, say, hey, I kind of want this. Keep it locked on PhoneDog.com for more on the HTC One Max. All in all, a really nice device, a great addition to the One lineup. I'm on Twitter at PhoneDog_Aaron, Facebook, Facebook.com/HiAaronBaker. Let me know what you think of the HTC One Max. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.